Hey guys, it's time to Nephis and Chill, and this video we'll be going over and comparing Roaring Opportunist, Master Architect, and War Machine. I still see a lot of people asking about if they should have 3 Magic Necromancers wearing Master Architect, or when a healer should use Roaring Opportunist and Yorvolds together, versus Roaring Opportunist and Zens, or Roaring Opportunist plus a damage set, and people just have a general curiosity of endgame raid teams have been using these sets for Major Slayer uptimes, and how we'll use them going forward with a nerf to the Major Slayer in Update 28 or Markarth DLC next patch. So to start off, let's look at Roaring Opportunist. This set was pretty much changed for the better right before Update 27 or Stonethorn DLC, with duration per proc scaling off of how much spell damage or max magicka you have, rather than how much damage you can do with a heavy attack. So that was a pretty good change. With Roaring Opportunist, it's true that you can proc it a second time as well for a second set of DPS with a second heavy attack after the first heavy attack and not have it affect the first set of people. A lot of people are calling this a smart buff. Not exactly smart on how it works, but you get the point. The next sets we need to look at are Master Architect, or if it's Stamina DPS equivalent, War Machine. The tooltip for this reads: when you use an ultimate ability, you and the closest 5 group members within 28 meters of you gain Major Slayer for 1 second per 14 ultimates spent, increasing your damage done to X by 15%. So now ideally, if you want the most damage out of using these sets, you want to pre-buff Master Architect on 2 people, whether they're 2 supports or 1 support plus a Necromancer. And if you don't know what a pre-buff set is, definitely check out my video on pre-buff sets. And for the sake of time, if you are on PC and you have an add-on like Dressing Room or Alpha Gear, use the ultimate, which should typically be at 500 ult. Meaning at 500 ult, you get about 50 seconds of Major Slayer after your cast. Right before the boss spawns in, or exactly 2 seconds before the group engages the fight. So you can potentially do a Colossus as the boss spawns, or a Horn, but you need to also organize your stacks, as a left stack, right stack, and have the person or the 2 people casting this MA ult or War Machine ult to be in their respective stacks, so they don't, as you can recall from the tooltip, they don't give it to the wrong people, because it is proximity based. So, for example, if I lost you here in my explanation, I would do, I'll do pre-buffs, then I go to MA, and then at 2 seconds on the boss spawn timer, I'll Horn, and then before the 2 seconds are up and the team aggros, I go to my actual boss setup. And I'll put a video in that shows this while explaining how Roaring Opportunist fits in with this. Just a note that if your group cannot kill a boss in less than 50 seconds, or the fight is going to be longer than 50 seconds, like Rakat Hard Mode or Zamaja in Cloud Rest, I do definitely recommend a healer in Roaring Opportunist and Yorvolds. And after some extensive testing this patch with my raid team, we've concluded that Roaring Opportunist with Zens or Roaring Opportunist with a damage set is definitely situational and will be dependent on the fights. But the general rule of the thumb is if the fight is less than 50 seconds, no need for a Roaring Opportunist. If you're, pre-buffing Master Architect War Machine. And if it's longer, you can go with either RO Yorvolds if the fight is much longer, or RO Zens or RO damage set if the fight is going to be longer than 50 seconds, but shorter than maybe like 2 minutes. It really depends on the fight. So, for example, in this video, you see me do my usual pre-buffs, but sometime later, I heavy attack twice to proc Roaring Opportunist to align with the next major vulnerability, because the initial Major Slayer from my Master Architect pre-buff has gone away at this point. It's quite an understatement for me to say that this kind of stuff requires a degree of organization within your raid team, plus you need to be on PC to do pre-buffs like these, because unfortunately console players don't have access to add-ons or in-game things like Dressing Room to enable them in doing this. And of course, for places like VAS Hard Mode, it's probably better off using Master Architect or War Machine during the fight for most groups. In general though, for most groups anyway, it's definitely less of a headache to simply have, 3 people in Master Architect slash War Machine or a healer in Roaring Opportunist Yorvolds. If I had to choose for groups between one person doing Roaring Opportunist with Yorvolds and versus 3 people wearing MA or War Machine, I'd go with the Roaring because that's more of a damage game. Furthermore, for next patch, otherwise known as Markarth DLC, I see a lot of people in a lot of Discord saying that they think Major Slayer won't be worth it because its 15% is getting nerfed to 10%. But I still think we'll see pre-buff War Machines and Master Architects, depending on whether you're a stamina or magical DPS composition. It'll probably still see the use of Roaring Opportunist, probably, as you still ideally want all buffs and debuffs possible when score pushing or trying to get the most out of your damage. But yeah, that's it for this video. Thanks so much for watching, guys. See you guys next time. Stay safe and have fun until the next time we meet.